Hello, hello everyone. I hope you can see and hear me fine. I'm wondering. Um, it would be amazing if someone wrote in the chat if you can hear me correctly, because sometimes my mic fucks up. And I just hope it doesn't do that. Perfect. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, I don't really have like a specific topic for this live. I just thought we could hang out a little bit because that's what I did the last time, I think 2 months ago roughly. And it was very chill and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So you can tell me in the chat, how are you doing? Um, of course, if you have like any questions or like you have any topics that you want me to talk about, then of course ask away in the chat or request a topic or something and let's have a little chat. I guess my tea is far too hot still. I actually had quite the productive day. I had my YouTube work day today and I prepared scripts for 6 videos, I think. And one of them I'm very excited about. The script took me several hours. So I hope that everyone will like the video. But I just hope so. It's an important topic, in my opinion, that's not very much talked about. So I really hope that people will like it. How are you and your kitties feeling? Are you excited for autumn? Um, I'm actually a little bit sick still, so if I start sneezing uncontrollably, that's why, or if I start coughing, that's why. But apart from that, I would say I'm a little bit stressed because I'm working a lot. Um, I had to get a lot of mystery boxes ready on Friday, but they are all shipped now. So now I can focus on the next shop update. And yeah, but I'm very excited because tomorrow I'm meeting up with my best friend and we will have a photo shoot. And I'm very excited about that. And my kitties are fine. I actually have one kitty with me. Hello. That's Juno, my little princess, who always has to lie on a pillow because she's a princess. And actually I'm not at all excited about autumn. I'm very much a spring summer person and autumn just makes me remember that winter's coming, so my seasonal depression comes up and I don't like that. I mean, I like the short time where like the leaves are nice and colorful and stuff. But the weather in northern Germany in autumn is awful. It's raining 24/7 basically, so don't really like that. I know I'm an exception because basically everyone loves fall and I'm like, nah. But yeah. How is it going with the Scandinavian folk magic? Funny that you're asking because I was actually writing a script about an update video on that. But I guess I can give you an update already. It is going good, but a little bit slow because I don't have the time to research everything at the same time, so I kind of always jump topics. Um, so yeah, I'm still working through the Trolldom book. I have finished reading it, but I have like so many tabs in that in that book and stuff that I want to copy into my grimoire. I still have to do a lot of that. It will be so much work, but yeah, I'm still doing my Trolldom course. And actually, my teacher Johannes Björn Goldbeck, he's offering a kind of like spirit flight in Trolldom course, like a full-on weekend course, and I'm friggin' excited about that. I will definitely do that. I think it's in the beginning of November. I'm very excited about that. I will definitely do that. And I actually started learning Danish a few days ago, and it's actually going pretty well, I'd say. Like the pronunciation is a little bit strange, But the more I get into it, I realize that the Danish pronunciation is actually very similar to the Low Saxon slash Low German version that I'm used to from home. So it's actually pretty chill. And the grammar seems to be very much a lot easier than German and Icelandic. It's much easier than Icelandic. Uh, Hello from Tatu. Hi. Hello, hello. Very non-witchy, but how long did it take you to stretch your ears? I started when I was 16. But when was I finished? I don't remember when I was done on this size because I downsized to 30 millimeters and then upsized again to 36. Um, I don't know, I guess like 8 years or something. But I took it, I mean, I didn't take it slow, the process of stretching itself, but I had like a long, long period of time where I was at 14 millimeters. I had a very long time where I was at 20, and I just started stretching after like a couple of years. So, um, oh, a German question. A question about the other worlds, I guess, or the afterlife. Uh, oh yeah, they're asking how the afterlife or the other worlds are looking because I'm working with hell, and maybe like she mentioned something, but actually no, I've never asked that because I don't really want to know. To be honest, like I don't want to know because if it's frightening, I don't want to know. So I don't dare ask. uh, Glad I made it to your life. Glad you made it. Yeah, it depends on where you live when it comes with favorite seasons. Yeah. And here in northern Germany, it's basically raining during like the entire season of autumn and winter. We don't usually really get snow. So it's just rain and very gloomy and dark. And I know some people love that, but it's just not for me. Like I was born in summer. I'm a summer person, even though I burn to a crisp within 10 minutes in the sun. And I can't stand temperatures above 25 C, which I don't remember what that is in Fahrenheit. I think 77 or something. Wait. Yes, 77 Fahrenheit. So everything above that is too hot. So but I just need sunlight. Like if it's not sunny outside, if the sky is not blue, I just don't have motivation and energy. And once the sun pops out, I like my mood is so like amazing and I have motivation and energy the entire day. And if it's just gloomy, I'm like, "Ugh." How nice. I so want to read the Trolldom book. I really recommend it. It's not like a it's not like a very fluffy philosophical book. It's a lot like just spell after spell after spell after spell. Because it's basically like a you have like an intro part with like the general things that are important in Trolldom, but and like a of course like a little bit of history and stuff, but the huge part of this book is just a collection of different kinds of spells, and I think that's amazing because the sources themselves are usually not in English or German. So I'm just very happy that someone took it upon themselves to collect all of these things and translate them into English because finding sources on Scandinavian folk magic in English or German is so, so hard. So I just hope that maybe by learning Danish, I will have another option. I just hope that there will be some sources in Danish. That would be very much helpful. Yeah, Danish is basically German and Swedish combined. Yeah, I always heard that Danish is the ugly stepsister of Swedish. I don't know. Um, but yeah, there are a lot of words that are either exactly the same as in English or exactly the same as in German, so it's kind of strange. It's a weird combination, and a lot of vocabulary, of course, I already know because I learned Icelandic a little bit. So a lot of the terms are the same, but just pronounced in a different way. So that's kind of handy. I don't know. But I definitely it's a cute language, like pronunciation wise, but I must say, like pronouncing Icelandic for me personally, for some reason, is easier than Danish. I don't know why, but I also find it a little bit, I don't know. To me, it's a more beautiful language, but I don't have like any ancestral connections to Iceland, so learning Icelandic would be more a purely for fun thing. And like by learning Danish, I want to kind of reconnect with my ancestors. So I remember when you said you wanted to learn Danish, but were too stressed with everything happening. I'm so glad you are able to learn a bit now. Actually, that's very funny because when I was learning Icelandic, I did like a full-on language course at a full-on school. So I had to go there once a week and like do homework and stuff and study everything. And that took me like quite some time, but you can't really learn Icelandic anywhere in any apps. So I didn't really have another choice. I was already lucky that there was a school in my town where I could learn Icelandic. But with Danish, I can learn it on Duolingo, and I just started doing that. And like actually my my go-to thing is now either when I want to procrastinate, I go on Duolingo and learn Danish. When I'm stressed, I do it. Or my favorite, when I go to the toilet. I just do like one lesson every time I go to the toilet, and it's that's very handy. That way I do it regularly and it seems to work. I mean, I've only been doing that for a week now, but in that week I've already learned quite some stuff. I can for example say I have a cup of tea. A cup of tea. I don't know if my pronunciation is good, but I learned that I have a cup of tea in Danish is jeg har en kop te. So at least I can say some stuff. And I'm actually going to Denmark in mid-September. So maybe I can practice a little bit. We will see. Hello from Vietnam. Oh wow, from Vietnam. Hello. I'm struggling to sleep, so let me listen in. Yes, just use me as your podcast or your sleep story. Hi, just popping in for 5 minutes before going out. Hi, Ella. Oh wow. Yes, the camera is wiggling because the laptop is actually on my lap. So the way I can read the sources, because in Swedish. Oh, I'm jealous. I am jealous. But at some point, I will just get some sources in Danish and then just try. And if I don't succeed, I will just use Google Translate. I guess that will be okay. Germans in my Danish class catch Danish way more faster. Interesting. Interesting. It's pretty funny because I actually know quite a lot of words actually already because they're just the same in German or in like we have a very, very specialized random language that's like I don't know, a slang language. I don't know. It's related to both Danish and German and Low Saxon, so it's like a mashup, and it basically only exists in my hometown. Um, so from that, I already know some words, so yeah, it's nice. Thanks for the recommendations on the book Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman in your videos. I'm just starting out with the Norse pantheon, and it is definitely easier to get into than the Poetic Edda. Oh, I'm very, very happy that helped you. Yeah. We actually read that book in my coven together. And like both of my coven mates, like they have nothing to do with Norse paganism or the Norse mythology or anything, apart from hearing something somewhere. And they also said like it's I mean, it's not like an academic text or anything like that. You can just read it like a normal prose book. So I think it's so easy to get into, and I think I don't know, I just like the way he like his writing style and how he retells everything. Yeah, it's very easy to understand. I love that. Duolingo for the win. Yes. I have actually never used it before, so I'm quite happy. The only thing that annoys me though is that the the speaking part sometimes just doesn't work. Like it just does sometimes doesn't recognize that I'm speaking like at all. So there's like no input. So I fail all of those exercises. So that sucks. And usually like after a couple of hours it's okay again. So I guess that maybe their back end is down or something. I don't know. But that's a little bit buggy and that's annoying. But apart from that, I really enjoy it. Although sometimes you just learn the same sentences over and over and over, and I just can't listen to like the sentences look, a tree, or a greenhouse, or something like that anymore. It's like seems to be like always the same sentences, and at some point it gets annoying. My last name is very German, but my grandma never taught my dad the language, so I never got to learn. Big sad. Oh, that is sad, but your grandma was German and spoke German? For me, it's pretty similar actually, because both my first name and my last name are Danish, but I never learned Danish, even though I grew up at the Danish border. So, mm. But to be fair, my school also didn't teach it. So, hi, hello, hello, hello. I wanted to ask, I think you said you had previously worked a bit with Skadi. How was that? Of course, if it's too intrusive, you don't have to answer. Also, I really enjoyed your Plant Spirit series. Um, First of all, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I was kind of on a Plant Spirit hype. I don't know. I don't know why. Guess it was just the spring summertime. Um, yeah, I actually didn't really work with Skadi as in like a relationship where we do something for each other. Skadi was just the first goddess that I was really interested in, or the first deity that I was really interested in. So I started just giving her some offerings from time to time and just trying to feel her out a little bit. I guess I also just felt really connected to her because I felt like she's like a self-made woman, if that makes sense, because like she got herself her deity status, which is pretty badass, and she's kind of like a woman in a man's dominion. And yeah, as a software developer, I kind of felt that. Like back then, I also still identified as a woman, so that was something that I really, I don't know, felt a kinship with her in. Um, but yeah, I never really worked with her. So the only thing I can really say is like I really connected to her during winter, with which of course makes sense. I still, whenever it's snowing, I still kind of feel like like her presence, or that I don't know, it's easier to connect with her when it's snowing. Um, I feel like she's like very, very strong. I mean, she's also a Jotun. So of course she's big and strong, probably, I don't know. But like she's a huntress. That's pretty cool. And she as I said, she got herself her deity status, which is pretty badass. She got divorced, or like at least lives separately from her husband because she just can't stand where he's living. That's also pretty cool. Like I feel like she's just a very strong goddess, which I feel like is amazing. Wait, is it Plattdeutsch? Yes. I don't know what you meant, like the very specific language in my city that only exists there, that's not Plattdeutsch, but it's related to Plattdeutsch. It's actually P2 or P2 Tantenschnack because it was created by the P2 Tanten, which were like, if I remember correctly, those were like elderly women that would like meet up on ferries that would go between like Denmark and Germany. And they would like meet up there and have coffee and tea and cake and like gossip about other people. And they would at some point create this. specific language. I don't know how, but at least it's named after them. Um, uh, oh yeah, the temple idea. I completely forgot about that. Message me on Instagram again about that because I completely forgot about it. I am sorry. My memory is the worst. Uh, Oof, yeah, I turn off the speaking on Duolingo because I hate failing exercises. That's cheating though. Also, I feel like if I wouldn't do those exercises, I just wouldn't learn how to pronounce things. And if I want to end up speaking the language, I have to do it. So I kind of really enjoy the speaking exercises when they work. That's the thing, when they work. Good morning, good evening, everyone. First time here. Hello! Love your channel. I'm so glad I discovered it. Oh, thank you. That's so nice. I'm always still, I don't know, it's still very strange when people tell me that they like my channel, or like I have some people who told me that my channel is their favorite channel ever, and I'm like, I'm just a random person in my living room, like literally right now, just a random person in my living room talking to a camera. And that's what it feels like to me. And it's like, if you're like a content creator, it's pretty strange because you literally sit in your living room with a camera in your face, talking to the camera, and you just put out that content into the void. And yes, you see like numbers of people watching the videos, but it kind of doesn't translate. You don't really realize that people are actually watching that and like giving a shit about it, basically. Um, and like forming their own like parasocial relationships with you, which of course is totally normal. I do that with YouTubers too. Like it's totally normal if you see someone on a regular basis on a screen that you kind of form some kind of relationship with them. Um, and it's strange because like I know that that's the case for me with other YouTubers, but it just doesn't translate over to my channel. It's yeah, it's weird. For example, I was so friggin' nervous when I interviewed Olivia, the Witch of Wanderlust. I was so friggin' nervous beforehand because I've watched her channel for ages. Um, and then I realized like maybe that would be the same for another person that would talk to me. And I was like, what's going on? Which was the first deity you worked with? Like proper worked with was Odin, because he was just, I guess he was just simply the first one to request something of me. But yeah, the first deity that I was interested in and that I gave offerings to from time to time was Skadi. And it's actually pretty funny how that happened because back then I shopped a lot at Shop Dixie, which is a jewelry brand, and they had a collection, a jewelry collection that they named Skadi. And I read that word and I was like, that sounds interesting. What's that? And I Googled it and I found out that it's a deity. And then I did some research and then I thought, oh, that's a cool deity. I should kind of try to connect and give some offerings. So I figured figured her out through a jewelry collection that was named after her. I still think that's pretty random. I do have a question. How do you go about joining or finding a coven? What would you recommend with finding one, and what is your experience? Ooh, that is. Wait, is my tea cooled off? That's actually a pretty hard question because it totally depends on where you live. Oh, perfect. I have a very nice wintry tea. It's kind of like a two different teas combined. One of them is a cinnamon bun tea, which is amazing, and like the other one is an apple pie thingy. It's great. But yeah, coven. If you're in the US, like depending on where you live, of course, but in general, I feel like in the US it's much easier than everywhere else. In Germany, that was extremely hard because in Germany, while there are witches, they usually don't make themselves known. I don't know why. Maybe they don't want to be ridiculed because that is what would happen probably. But most are just solitary practitioner or maybe just meeting up with some friends from time to time. But most people don't really form covens here, or they're just not known. Like people don't know of each other. So like there could be like 1,000 witches or other magical practitioners in my town, but I just wouldn't know because we're not organized in any way. Um, and we don't really have like a meetup culture or fairs or anything like that. Um, so I actually found my coven through Meetup, which was pretty random because I didn't really look for it. It was actually a friend of mine who found out about the meetup that our now high priestess um, made to find people because she really wanted to create a coven. She's from the US and she was totally used to being in a coven and she really wanted a coven again. So she made this meetup, and I found out about it through a friend, and we went there. And then I completely spontaneously decided to join the coven because I never wanted to join a coven beforehand, but it just felt right, so I decided to do it. So I guess like if you have any, yeah, any websites like that, like Meetup that are often used in your area, because of course that will depend on where you live. Um, Maybe look for like local Facebook groups or something and then ask there. Um, yeah, something like that. It's usually social media and like local, like finding local groups. That's the issue. But like if you can't find something, how about you create a meetup or something similar that makes sense for where you live? Because then you can find people. Because the thing is, that maybe there are like 100 people in your area who are all looking for a coven or people to practice with, but nobody pulls through with it, like nobody initiates something. So nobody finds each other. So maybe if you can't find something in your area, maybe initiate that and create a meetup or something. That can be very interesting. Even if it doesn't result in a coven, public meetups are so interesting because you meet so many different kinds of practitioners and you get so much, yeah, input from different kinds of viewpoints and traditions. I don't know. I really enjoy our meetups whenever we do some. I guess we need some kind of, I don't know, Tinder for witches or something. I actually thought about creating a website or an app or something where you can find other witches, but I thought probably a lot of people wouldn't even sign up there. Thank you for answering that. In my experience, she was a huge component to my healing journey and gave me the strength to leave my abuser. She is a badass, much like Freya. First of all, I'm very, very sorry that you actually had an abuser. But I totally get that, like that she gave you the strength to do that because yeah, she would just leave whenever someone treats her wrong. I feel like that's she doesn't let people wrong her, if that makes sense. I just got my first health statue. I'm so excited. Ooh, that's amazing. Hey, hey. Hi. It's mostly because I study languages at the train. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't want to talk to an app or to my phone in the train as well. I love your wall. Thank you. It's actually uh IKEA. Not that special. Your channel is so super what? Your channel is super important. There aren't many openly queer voices discussing paganism on YouTube. Thank you for doing what you do. Oh, thank you so much. I always wonder, because like I always feel like there are a lot of queer voices in the witchcraft community, at least more than in any or a lot of other communities. Um, and like to me, my queerness was never like anything I really related to my practice. So I don't know. To me it's not a big deal. It's just me, yeah, old me. As a Freya devotee, I really liked your video about her. Grüße aus Heidelberg. Oh, thank you so much. There are so many Freya devotees. I'm always very excited. I mean, of course, it makes sense because she's cool as fuck. But yeah. I love that. I love hearing that there are so many Freya devotees. However, did you get into witchcraft? Um, I actually found out about it on YouTube because back in ye olden days, when I was still much younger, there was a YouTuber named Harmony Nice, which was basically the first big, like, witchy YouTuber. And I found out about Wicca through her, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I got like a million books and started a deep dive, and I have been obsessed ever since, I guess. Although I'm not a Wiccan anymore. Hey there, quick question. Do you have a familiar spirit or something akin to a familiar? Love your videos, by the way. Always so informative. That's a good question because I mean, I don't have a spirit that is necessarily like in my service or that I have like a real pact with. I have some spirits that I work with from time to time. Like I have like a lynx spirit, for example, but we don't like have a pact or anything. And I've only once asked them to do something for me. So I don't feel like I have one yet. Um, one interesting thing happened though, um, through my trolldom course, actually. I found out that there is an ancestral spirit of mine hanging out in my apartment. And I have felt them a lot, just being around. Um, and I connected with them, and I was actually thinking about asking them if they maybe want to be my familiar spirit. We will see. Um, but yeah, apart from that, like not really. Simply because I usually don't really make pacts with anyone. Like I have made some pacts with Odin, but I always feel like a deity doesn't really count as a familiar spirit. I don't know. Hi Megan. Buh, buh, buh. The Shop Dixie stuff is so pretty. Yeah, right? Oh, I would just buy so many of their rings, and I still have them all because I mean they're like crystal and like genuine silver, so why would I get rid of them? I'm very much a ring person, so I am obsessed with their stuff. But they have gotten quite expensive, which of course is normal because their stuff is quality. It's genuine silver. So totally worth it, but I don't really get their jewelry anymore that often. Also, um, since Brexit, taxes and like import tax and stuff is just too expensive. So I usually don't order anything from the UK anymore, which is quite sad. I'm just so happy to find a channel that fits me perfectly. I've never met another Norse witch before. Yay! Yeah, for some reason there aren't really that many, at least on YouTube. Um, I feel like on Instagram, for example, there are a lot. I have something in my eye, sorry. Oh, I feel like on Instagram there are many more, but on YouTube, not too many. And I feel like that's kind of sad. Oh, my cat is fast asleep, and apparently she was dreaming, so she twitched, and that was very cute, by the way. Cute sleeping cat. Oh no! I'm so sorry, Juno, but you're so cute. Well, now she's not fast asleep anymore. Oh, there is this beautiful mug again. Yes! My pumpkin mug. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite mugs ever. But I have a lot of cute mugs because I started collecting them actually. I've made it a tradition to always buy a nice ceramic mug wherever we go, like on vacation and stuff. So this one isn't from a vacation, but I got one when we were visiting the Harz Mountains. I have like got like a huge cup there that you can actually use as a soup bowl too because it's so huge. I got one in Iceland. I am planning to get one when I'm in Copenhagen in September. I'm actually also going to Prague in October. Very exciting. So I will definitely also get a mug there. I got one at the Viking Age fair that we went to. I actually also got one at another Ren fair that we went to. So ceramic mugs, great. They make a good collection. Uh, my practice has always been a very private thing to me. My only interaction with a wider community has been through YouTube comment sections. Yeah, and I mean that's a totally fine thing to do. Nobody has to connect with other people like in person or ever at all. In Vietnam, we have a small gathering of witches. It's possible to find others. That's really cool. Do you do like some specific sort of Vietnamese practice or like folk magic or stuff? Or is it like a, I don't know, more like Western standard witchcraft? Standard, like the modern, the typical modern witchcraft that you read in books, you know? Yeah, it's really hard to find other witches here in Holland as well. Yeah, I would guess that it's probably very similar to Germany. Greetings, hello all. Hi, pagan crafting. Nice, nice. I'll definitely see what I can find or what I could make. Thanks, Bente. Tinder for witches. Yes, we should make a Tinder for witches. Um, Someone else also already thought about a dating app for pagans and witches. Yeah, I mean, we actually already thought about maybe doing some kind of pagan speed dating as a public meetup so that people can like have one-on-one conversations and then maybe find like people that they want to become closer friends with. Um, but yeah, I feel like a website would be pretty handy because a lot like how to find a community or a coven is like one of the most like, the question that I probably get asked most often, or one of the questions that I get asked most often. So I feel like a website or an app or something would be very, very handy, but I don't have the time to do that. I would love to make an app because then I could maybe get into iOS development because I only do Android apps in my job. But I don't have the time. Like app development is very time consuming and I don't have the time. It was because of your video on hell that I discovered that she was also my matron slash patron deity. I want to get a statue of her. Oh, that's amazing. I feel like hell is an amazing matron or patron deity because she is like so caring and so motherly. Like most of the times when she's giving me like a sign and I communicate with her, it ends up being about something where like she's like worried about me or like I'm, like, mentally, like, a little bit unstable or that, like, there's something going on with my mental health that she wants to point out to me. So I feel like she would be an amazing matron or patron deity. I actually found your channel from one of Harmony's videos back in 2021. What? That's so cool. So my video was suggested on one of hers. That's goals. It all goes full circle. I started watching your channel recently, already bought the books you recommended. Really excited to explore. Thank you. Oh, that's amazing. I'm always very happy about getting people to buy books. And I just realized I never made a witchcraft book recommendations video. I should do that. I should very much do that. Hmm, video idea. Actually, I find a lot of Norse witches in Discord witchy servers. Big tip for finding more info and people if one likes. That's a good tip. I'm late. That's okay. Discord is great to find like-minded people. I found some more niche Gaulish paganism groups on Discord. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, especially like Gaulish paganism. That sounds very niche. Sounds very cool though. Oh, your Iceland trip, how did that feel spiritually for you? Your video was amazing and so, so beautiful. Thank you so much, first of all. It took me ages to edit, so I'm happy that you enjoyed it. Um, it was it was intense because Iceland, like, I feel like either there are, like, just more spirits in general in Iceland, which would kind of make sense because there's so much more, like, old, raw nature than in Germany, or they're just more intense. But I feel like as soon as you step foot on Iceland, it's I don't know, you just feel it. You just feel that everything is vibing with spirit activity. And I definitely felt very, very close to the gods there, especially Odin for some reason. We also had, wherever we went, there was one raven. Always. One. Exactly one raven. Not saying that that's not normal, because I don't know how life is in Iceland and how many ravens there are. But I thought it was kind of interesting that there was always this one specific raven. Not to say that that was always the same one, because I doubt it, because sometimes we drove like 7 hours in one day, and I doubt that that raven just flew after our car to follow us. But there was always one raven, and I was like, that's strange. But yeah, it was definitely amazing. I didn't really do any like spiritual work there or magical work because I simply wanted to relax. So I didn't really want to stress myself to do anything like that. Um, Also, my fiance just isn't interested in anything like that. And since we were going there together, I didn't want to annoy him. Um, but yeah, it felt crazy active. Like there were some very, very specific spots that were like, okay, there is a lot going on here. Actually, one of them was a minute by foot from the point where my now fiance and I got engaged. So that's pretty cool. Um, any plans for future tattoos, piercings, and the reason behind them? Yes, I'm actually getting a tattoo next week, which is a pretty funny tattoo because my fiance is also heavily tattooed, and we thought, why not get a very stupid couple tattoo? But one that's not like our name or something, because I feel like that's not something that I would do. But we found this idea on TikTok actually, with I think it was raccoons wearing different kinds of frog hats. And I was like, that's an amazing idea. We will do that and take a similar idea for our tattoos, our couple tattoos. So we will get each a raccoon tattooed that looks a little bit like us. So I'm getting a raccoon with a frog baseball cap basically, and a piece like a slice of pizza, because that's very much my fiance, and he's getting a raccoon with a frog sleeping mask and a cup of tea. And that's me. And we're getting those tattooed next Friday, and that will be the most hilarious tattoo ever, even more hilarious than my little baby chicken with the knife or my rat in the ice cone. I'm just realizing I have that will be my third hilarious random animal tattoo. And like piercing wise, I have actually thought about getting my ears pierced again, but in the past, every time I did, they never healed. Like cartilage piercings are just a hassle to heal. So I don't know if I will do that. But apart from that, no piercing plans because my face is already full of metal. I will only still stretch my philtrum even more. It's at 3.5 millimeters now, and I will stretch it to 5, and then I will put some pretty crystal jewelry in there. There is a crystal you have in a haul video. I can't figure out how it's spelled to find it. It was made out of multiple kinds, and it's hard to find because the mines were flooded. Oh, it is. Wait, it is Harzer Blutstein. Um, I will write it in the chat. I don't know how it's called in English. Wait, I have to see because it's a German crystal. Um, because the problem is Blutstein translates to bloodstone, but bloodstone, like the standard bloodstone, is heliotrope. That is not what I'm talking about. Harzer Blutstein is a very, very specific kind of mineral. Um, so I guess you would have to look it up with the German name, I guess, because otherwise you will find either hematite, which is sometimes called bloodstone, or you will find heliotrope, which is also sometimes called bloodstone. Mm. Oh, I just got an email by DHL that the mystery box from your shop will be delivered on Monday. I am I'm very excited. That's amazing. I hope I hope that you will love it. I hope that you will love it. Was it one of the ones I shipped on Friday? I think so, right? I don't know. If it was a big one, then I was very, very excited to put it together, and I hope you will love it. Hi, Benta. Sorry if I'm late to the chat. No friggin' problem. I will be here for quite some time, probably. Hope you're doing well. Also, random question, but what is your favorite fruit? Mine are blackberries. Blackberries are very yummy. Ah, my favorite fruit. Hmm. I really like pears, but it has to be the perfect pear because it can't be too hard and it can't be too soft. It has to be the perfect consistency. Otherwise, I don't like it. But I really like pears. I also like any kind of berry. It doesn't matter if it's blackberry, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry. I love all berries. But I think they technically don't count as fruit. At least strawberries don't. Strawberries are actually nuts. Um, I really like kiwis. They are amazing. I guess the one I eat most often is banana, but I actually don't really like banana that much. They're just easy to eat. I don't know, I'm lazy. Um, with pirate in it as well. Oh, that's about the crystal again. With pirate in it as well. Yes. It's been a while since I've watched the video, but when I did, I couldn't find it anywhere. I hope now with the name you will find it, but it is very hard to find in general. Even the crystal stores around the mines don't really have a lot of it because, as I said in that video, you can't get it anymore because the mine was flooded, so all of it was destroyed. So there's only so much of it. Hi, Benta Maria here. Oh, hi! Hell is the main goddess I work with too, and I simply love her and all the things she is teaching me day after day. Agreed. Agreed. By the way, since you are in the chat, everyone check out Birch Knot Designs on Etsy because she's doing such amazing work. Do you know some witches in Berlin? Actually, I don't because I mean, first of all, I only lived in Berlin for a year, and in that time, I wasn't a witch yet, so no clue. But I bet that there are a lot because there are so many more like out of the box alternative people in Berlin that there are probably a lot of witches. It's nice to feel the energy from another place. Yeah, definitely. Especially if it's a place that you have wanted to go to for ages and that has, of course, a lot of like connection to your spiritual path and your religion. That's amazing. It's also like every time I go to Denmark, I always feel amazing. Every time I go to the sea, it always feels amazing. Um I feel maybe spirits get to take more place in Iceland since they are still very much a part of the culture. Maybe that's just me and my beliefs. Yeah, actually, mm, there are quite a lot of people still who believe in the spirits and who want to protect the spirits, even though it's apparently like getting less and less common. For example, a an elf church, I think in the east of the country, is being destroyed, and they tried to stop it, but apparently they didn't care because money. Um, Sadly. Sadly, that part of the culture is apparently slowly declining, but it's still a lot more relevant there than it is, for example, in Germany. Because in Germany, like, yes, you have like witches and pagans, but everyone who isn't in those communities just doesn't believe in anything like that. It's to them, it's all just superstitions. If you want many spirits, New Orleans is said to be extremely overpopulated with them. Actually, New Orleans is one of the two cities that I would want to go to in the US. Like there, the US isn't really on my travel to-do list because I don't know why. I don't really know why, but I don't know. I'm not too interested in the US. But New Orleans is one of two cities that I would want to go to. The other one is San Francisco for some reason. I don't know why, don't ask. Um, hi, hi, best friend. Ah, that's so cool. There was one raven everywhere you went. It definitely feels like some divine intervention. Could you discuss your experience with the lynx spirit? I am so interested. Yeah. Mm, I got an ethically sourced, important, an ethically sourced lynx skull. Um, and yeah, I didn't know if there would still be a spirit attached to it or not, but there very much is, and I found that out like basically as soon as I unpacked the skull. Um, so I just sat down with it and connected to it and communicated with it a little bit, and it showed me actually quite some stuff from its life. Like for example, it showed me that it had children, so I guess it was a female lynx, because it showed me like it playing with its children and like hunting and like the area where it lived and stuff, and it was like very very communicative. So I was very surprised by that actually, because while alive, lynx are not very, yeah, they usually don't really want to be around people. They're very shy. They avoid people as much as possible. So I thought it would be very reserved, but it wasn't. Um, yeah, so that happened. And I once, like, I don't want to say I used it. I worked with it for basically the purpose of um being able to do spirit flight easier. Um, which isn't really hard for me to begin with, luckily. But I feel like Link's spirits are so, or like the Link's egregore is so connected to the clairsenses and psychic stuff and spirit flight and anything like that, and like divination and anything that has to do with being a seer and stuff. So I thought like that was probably something that they could help me with, and it seemed to help. So I basically just, I mean, I'm very pragmatic when it comes to to spirit communication. I basically just like sat down and went silent and like focused on my clear senses, which is usually mainly feeling, but also just intuitive knowing and stuff. Um, and I just sat down with the skull and just basically just asked it out loud if it would help me with that. And I felt like physically and energetically, because most of my clear senses are feeling. That's what works best for me. And I felt a definite yes. So I just did. That's that's about that. I'm very pragmatic when it comes to like spirit communication and stuff. Do you believe in spirit animals? And if so, what have you found is the best way to find your spirit animal? I don't, because I am not Native American, so I don't think that I have a spirit animal. because that is not something that's a thing in like any Nordic traditions or anything like that. You or we, you, I don't know. A Fylgja is a thing though, which is basically, I mean, it translates to a fetch, which I guess means like some kind of spirit that follows you around. Um, Although it's sometimes in sources said to go in front of you. So maybe it's not a following spirit, but one that goes with you everywhere because it's actually like a part of you and your soul. Like some people see the Fylgja as a part of your multi-part soul. Um, and that spirit can present itself to you in different kinds of forms. So most often it's just a human woman, or at least a female presenting human, or an animal. And mine actually presents itself to me as a lynx. That's why I got a lynx skull in the first place. I actually got it originally for my Fylgja, to honor my Fylgja. Well, now it's a whole ass lynx spirit in itself. But yeah, so no, I don't have a spirit animal, but I have a Fylgja, as I think everyone has. Like at least that's my belief. Um, and I mean, you could argue that it's similar, but I feel like a spirit animal is usually more detached from you. Like it's not a spirit that is connected to you, and a Fylgja is, as I said, a part of you, and it follows you around everywhere because it is a part of you. And it can be sent out, or you can travel in its form, if that makes sense. Um, so I think that's a big difference. Uh, oh damn, wow. I typed out the crystal name and I didn't send it. Oh, because it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it send the message? Now it did. Great. Poo, 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 poo. Yes, the mail said it was sent on Friday. In the note, and among other things, I asked for a Freyr and Freya related team. Yes, then it's the big mystery box, the one that I was very, very excited about. I hope you will love it. Can you read the name of the Etsy shop you just mentioned? The designs shop that is doing awesome things. Um, wait, Birch. I can just send the link. That's probably the easiest thing to do. Wait. It is this one. Um, oh no. Oh no, the chat jumped. Damn it. Where was I? Oh, there. Oh, heck yeah. A good pair always hits the spot. Exactly. I was also curious, do you have any UPG that completely goes against the typical thoughts or beliefs regarding the Norse deities? Oh, that's a good question. Um, I hmm, let me think. I mean, most people see Freya just as a like a beauty and love deity. I feel like that I can't really relate to that because to me she's mainly very like strong and assertive and badass. And yes, she is related to love, but for me personally, it's not like her main thing, if that makes sense. Um, so she's like not like the typical lovey, mothery thing that some or a lot of people seem to see her as. I just don't see her like that. Um, hmm. I don't know if that's I don't know. I mean, if I go after the comments that I saw on my Freyr video, then it seems like a lot of people agree with me, but I don't really see Freyr as this hyper masculine deity, which of course he is related to like male fertility and stuff, so maybe that doesn't make sense. But to me, he is definitely very like calm and not like reserved, but like not in your face, more a little bit like shy or something. Definitely not like a macho, hyper masculine or toxically masculine dude. Um, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. Don't know. Mm. No, Bento, please don't. I'm too shy for that. Just popped up to listen to what you were talking about. Ha, sorry, I already shared your link. I hope you get flooded with orders. I apologize for asking so many questions, but since you just got engaged, how did you and your fiance meet? What's your story? First of all, there is no such thing as too many questions. Um, we actually met in a very boring way, online dating, because I have social anxiety and I don't meet up with people. I don't go outside. Oh, that's a little bit too much probably, but I have never really been the person to meet someone through other friends or something because I usually just meet up with one friend at a time and not like with a big friend group or something, and I'm not really a party person. So we met up on, yeah, on a dating app. Very, very boring. I know. I'm sorry. New Orleans is amazing. I've been there. Ooh, I am jealous. I will say the rich history and culture of New Orleans is beautiful in its own right. However, one time a crackhead bit my dad on his arm while he was there, so just be careful if you visit. That's wild. That's wild. Beware, there be crackheads. Ifilkia is what I was meaning. Yes, thank you. I'm just having a hard time uncovering mine. Yeah, that can be tricky. Some people can see them. That's actually something that's even attested to in the sources, in the sagas. So some people can see them. So maybe if you know someone who's clairvoyant, maybe ask them if they can see it. Otherwise, do some spirit flight and then you can meet them. That's probably the easiest thing. Mhm. Did you ever read about my dream? I left it in a comment section in your video about receiving messages, I think. I don't know because I'm trying to keep up with comments, but I'm not good at it because it has just gotten to a point, and I'm very happy about that. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy about getting a lot of comments, but I don't have the time to read every single one anymore. So if I don't reply to a comment, that's not because I'm a nasty bitch. That's not because I hate you, but because I just didn't see it. Um, Sometimes I also just completely delete my YouTube analytics and comments and stuff app from my phone because it can be very draining to constantly keep up with the analytics and the comments and stuff. So yeah, I can't read every single comment anymore, sadly. I do that all the time, lol, type messages and forget to send it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm very good at reading messages, thinking, I don't have the time right now, I will reply to that later, and then completely forgetting about it and never replying. I'm so good at that, and it's so embarrassing. I live in California. I am very mixed, but have roughly 15% Native American. I always wondered if it was appropriate for me to connect to some of those roots, even at such a small percentage. I feel like 15% is quite a lot. And I mean, I'm not from the US and I don't know a single Native American person personally, so I don't know. But I mean, um, if you know which tribe you are connected to, why not just ask someone? And I mean, if they don't want to have anything to do with you, they will tell you. But nothing worse than that can happen. So maybe just shoot them an email and ask. I don't know. I guess if they realize that you're actually sincere about it and that you are willing to put in the work necessary to reconnect with that part of your heritage, then I mean, I don't know. But nothing worse can happen than them saying no. So I would just try. The homeless issue in California is very bad right now, so that story doesn't surprise me. Hmm, that's sad. That's sad. Oh, dang, I thought that was about San Francisco, not New Orleans. I guess it's a problem in any bigger city, right? I mean, I always dare to say that we don't have that many homeless people in Germany, but I mean, still we have them. So, and in every big city, it's just apparently you can't avoid it. I think I have to thank you then, even in a little bit upset way. And I am not sorry. Freya does not play. I accidentally pissed her off one time, and boy, let me say, I knew immediately that she was not pleased. Same. Same. I promised to do something for her, and I didn't really act on that, and she showed me. Trust me, you're good at answering comments. I'm like, how can they even keep up with all of it? I'm doing my best. I am doing my best. Although sometimes I get comments that are so, like, just rude that I will just delete them. But I feel like that's my right because my channel is my space, and if someone comes into my comment section and just starts to insult me, I'm not having that. You are getting deleted. Sadly, you can't block people on YouTube, but at least I can hide their comments. Spirit flight has always sounded on the scary side for me. I'm very hyper in control of myself to a point that I barely drink, so I'm not entirely sure how to enter into a spirit flight. I'll attempt. I mean, I also don't drink. Um, and you can still stay in control because it's not like you're letting go of control completely, because even though you are doing spirit flight, you are still deciding what you want to do. It's basically just like being in this world. Like if you go outside on the street, you're in control of what you're doing, but you are also not in control of what other people are doing. And that's the same thing if you're doing spirit flight, just in another world. But you can also do spirit flight and just do it in your own room. You can do spirit flight and just enter the other world in your room. You don't have to go to a whole ass other world. You can just stay in your room, but in the other world, if that makes sense. Um, Basically, like on the other side of a mirror or something. I don't know if that makes sense. It's hard to explain. Uh, but Freyr, I feel exactly the same way you do, and I want to tell you that the last video about blood magic was amazing. I loved it. Thank you so much. I was so worried about that video because I feel so passionate about blood, which sounds strange. Um, but I know that it can be a very heated topic, and as I said in the video, I got one nasty comment simply because I noted in a half sentence that I gave a blood offering to Odin, and a person came into my comments and said like, you are advertising self-harm. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I was expecting so many nasty comments and I didn't get a single nasty comment. So I was so happy and so relieved. And yeah, now I'm very happy that I made that video. And now I mean, I'm already covering some tricky topics sometimes, but now I'm even more willing to do that because nothing happened. Although I feel like YouTube is shadow banning me now a little bit because it has already been a problem for a longer time that my videos don't pop up in the subscription box of my subscribers anymore. But now I realized that that's actually a thing. And when I posted this live stream and I posted a community post about this live stream, both of them did not come up in the subscription box of my private account. So I was like, what the hell is going on? So I feel like YouTube is punishing me for that tricky topic a little bit, but well, the algorithm. Do you have tips how one can discover their filk? I have a really hard time to meditate and see stuff in my head. Um, if you have trouble seeing things, that's not a problem. I'm also bad at seeing things. I usually mostly rely on feeling things and just intuitively knowing, although that can be a little bit tricky. But you can use various different clair senses. You just have to figure out which of them is your strong suit. So just because you struggle with seeing things, that doesn't mean that you can't do spirit flight. I have instances where I am on going on spirit flight and I don't see anything. I have to basically feel my way through the whole situation, which can be a little bit tricky, but it does work. And you will surprised if you can manage to go into a deep trance, how easy it actually gets to do stuff. So it's very possible that if you let that happen and you actually go into a deep trance, because for spirit flight, you need to be in a deeper trance than for a simple meditation. Um, and in that state, your clairsenses definitely get sharpened and more open. Um, but even if nothing happens, you don't necessarily have to see something. Um, because if you go on spirit flight and you want to meet your Filkia, you can basically go on spirit flight, however you do that. People have different ways to go into spirit flight. And then you can basically just ask your Filkia to basically show up. I mean, it's a part of yourself, it's part of your soul. So it's not very far off either way. So it's not like you're calling a spirit that has nothing to do with you. You're calling a part of yourself up. So that shouldn't be too hard. um, and then if you can't see, then maybe you can ask them what they are presenting themselves to you as, because I've also seen my Filka as a woman, for example. Um, so they don't always show up in animal form, although that is probably along with the female presenting human form, it's probably the form that's used most often. Um, but yeah, you can also just ask them if you are maybe better at hearing things, or you can try to feel them, although that would probably be a little bit strange, but I mean, you can. Like in a similar way of how like blind people feel your face, for example, to kind of get a grip of like what you look like, if that makes sense. And then I mean, at least you can feel like their general form, and if they have feathers or fur, or like long ears, short ears, big nose, small snout, you know. You don't necessarily have to see anything. Um, for example, if someone says, think of a horse, I first see just the letters in my head and really abstract color blobs. I mean, at least that doesn't sound like you have aphantasia if you see the letters. That's a good thing. Um, just sounds like it's not your strong suit. You can practice that though. I definitely got better at seeing stuff by basically going through very, very simple, very, very simple visualization exercises every single day. I know it's not fun, but it's like 5 minutes. So who cares? You can do it right before bed or something. I started with just seeing simple forms, which if you could see the letters, you should be able to do that. Like just a triangle or just a circle or just a square or something. Um, as soon as that worked, I tried to fill them in with color because that is always my problem, seeing colors. Um, like if I see a rose or something, it's easy. I see it in color. But if I just have like a very random form that's not necessarily like attached to a color in my head, then it's hard to see it in color. But that was the thing that I practiced next. So seeing maybe a green triangle or a red circle. And then I would transform it, like if that was or started to get easier for me, I would start transforming that into a 3D object. So instead of a green triangle, I would try to see a green pyramid, or instead of a red circle, I would start practicing seeing a red sphere. And the last thing that I did, as soon as that became easier, was that I started moving those objects. So I would see maybe a green pyramid, and in my head, I would start letting it spin and seeing how it's spinning and moving and seeing it from all sides and stuff. And that really, really helped. So maybe you can practice that because for most people, they don't have aphantasia because it's not that um what's the word? I don't know. It doesn't happen for so many people that they have fantasia, that they have aphantasia. Most people are just not used to doing it, and that's just something that you have to practice, just as everything else. Greetings from Austria. Greetings back. Uh, hello, can you hear me? I'm pretty new to your channel. I hope I won't ever be able to hear you through chat because that would be strange, but I see your messages. The tribe is long gone by now, as it was coastal Mexico, so I'll search really hard to find some connections. Thank you. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, I mean, maybe there are like neighboring tribes or something. I don't know. Uh, the Filkia normally only shows up when you die, so don't stress yourself if you haven't met your Filkia yet. It's normal. I've seen it a couple of times. But yeah, it's a common thing in the sagas that it shows up like shortly before you die. Sometimes it's also a Valkyrie, sometimes it's one of the Disir, so it's the typical thing where for some reason the spirits, like the names of the spirits, are used interchangeably, or it seems like it, or they don't really know which spirit is which. I don't know. It's sometimes a little bit strange. Mhm. My heritage is Slavic, and the similarities between the Slavic pantheon and beliefs and the Norse pantheon and beliefs is uncanny. Have you ever been interested in other pantheons? I have only been interested in the Celtic pantheon. The Celtic. There is no one Celtic pantheon, but back then I didn't know that. Um, but I didn't really dive deeply into that. I quickly read a book about that, and that was about it. But apart from that, no, I didn't really dive into any other pantheons. I very quickly found the Norse one, and it felt like home, so I stayed there. Of course, I get so mad at people who think it's bad to delete hateful comments. I feel like, I mean, if someone started insulting you on your private Instagram or something, you also wouldn't let ugh, I can't talk. You also would not let that slide, would you? And if someone came up to you on the streets and started insulting you, you probably would tell them to shut up, wouldn't you? So um why shouldn't creators be allowed to do that? Mm, Filgia, Fylgjur are not the same as spirit animals, right? Nope, they aren't. I'm Italian and I don't have Norse DNA, but the gods came to me, and now I know spiritually has nothing to do with DNA. It has all to do with the soul as long as you're respectful towards the gods. Exactly. Anyone can get into Norse paganism, and you don't have to be, I don't know, you don't have to have Nordic heritage or be Scandinavian or live in Europe or be white or whatever the fuck some people try to make you believe. Mm, I'm not sure if you have covered this in a video, but I was curious if there was a specific connection for you between Norse paganism and the Roman astrology. No, I don't see any connection there because the two are not related in any way. Um, so yeah, I don't see a connection there. They're just things that don't have anything to do with each other, but of course that you can still put together and practice together if you want to. Um, so yeah. I asked my Fylgja to visit me in my dreams, and I believe it popped up. It may sound silly, but I had Odin visit me in my dreams a couple days before my Fylgja, as I thought Odin pointed it out to me. Possible? I don't know. I don't think Odin has a specific connection to Fylgjur. But possible? What do I know? Coole Tasse. Nicht wahr? Ich lieb sie. I just saw your blood video whilst cleaning. I so appreciated the conversation about the practice. It isn't spoken about a lot. I have alluded to it in my vids, but yes, YouTube algorithm is definitely not friendly. It isn't. It really isn't. That's why I'm trying to post 2 videos a week, because I hope that maybe the algorithm will start liking me a little bit more because I don't know what it is, but like my videos just don't really get a lot of views, and it's like you would think that the more subscribers you have, the more views you get. But that's not the case, and that doesn't add up. Seems this Filkia topic might be a bit of a topic. Lol, you've done a video on this, I believe, but maybe a revamp. I actually haven't done a video on that. It's a topic I really want to cover at some point, but I really want to do really, really in-depth research beforehand because it is such a tricky topic because there aren't too many references to the Filkia in the sources, if I remember correctly. And as I said, sometimes there is a mix-up between Disir and Filkia, and Valkyries and Disir, and Valkyries and Filkia. So it's a very tricky topic, and I just don't want to give out misinformation on a video. Um, yeah, so I would probably have to do like 2 weeks or something where I like do in-depth research on exactly that topic, and I usually don't have the time to do that. Um, yeah, that's the problem. I've wanted to do a video on that probably for a year at least because I get so many questions about it, but it's a tricky topic, very tricky, and it will be so much work. Yeah, tricky, tricky topics. But I will put out um a video on another tricky topic probably in a month or so. I wrote the script today and it took me several hours, and that's about the very fucked up history of the terms shaman and shamanism, because I think that is such an important topic and basically nobody knows about it. So I felt like a video is long overdue. Are there any runes that you feel particularly connected with? For me, it's Lagus and Kainas. Also, I loved your blood video as well. Thank you for being ballsy and talking about a taboo topic. Ooh, good question. Um, Let me think. Mm, for some reason, I really like the rune dagas. and I don't know why. I mean, of course, it's a quite positive rune, but I like that one. Hmm. I can't think of another one. So I guess that my Filke has presented itself. Oh, the chat jumped again. Nice. My Filke has presented itself as a cougar and a woman before, but I've always known it's the same energy being manifested, just in a different image. Right? You feel it. Like you feel that it's the same spirit, just in a different apparition. I have aphantasia. I'm sorry. That sounds sucky because I mean, so many books just rely on visualizing things. That's something that's a pet peeve of mine. I hate it because I'm always like, there are so many people that are either not skilled at it or people that do have aphantasia, and those people aren't accommodated because it's always like visualize this, visualize that. And it's very, very rare that in a book it's actually covered that you can use other senses than your visual senses. And that's just annoying. If I ever was to write a book, that would be one of the first things that I would write in the book. I have to shoot, but thank you for the live. It was lovely to catch some of it with you live. Blessings to you, lovely, and to everyone watching. Bye bye. Have fun shooting. I've tried reaching out to a few Norse pagan YouTubers about this dream I had 23 years ago that I've never forgotten. I'm not Norse pagan myself, and I'm just looking for an opinion. Maybe send me an email. I guess that will be the easiest thing. I think I have my email in my profile on YouTube. At least I think I also do have it on my Instagram. This could be interesting. I think my strongest sense is my sense of smell. Sometimes when I'm fully awake, I sense smells that aren't just from something nearby, most combined with a feeling. That sounds like you're good at feeling too. Mm, agreed on the nasty comment bit. This is your channel and your space. You have control of your platform, and it's a learning platform. So if it's not a constructive comment, that would lead to learning. Exactly. That's my space. And something that I find insulting doesn't have anything to do in my space. It's kind of a cleanup situation. I also don't want trash lying around in my apartment. So why should I leave trash comments in my YouTube channel? Doesn't make sense. And trust me, I had videos that I had to disable the comment section on, for example, my racism video, because I got so many racist comments, which was fun. Mm, it's not useful, so it should be deleted, right? Hate how I always get déjà vu when people start talking about dreams. I used to be able to see things in my dreams previously before it happened. So now I'm like, wait, have I seen this before? Oh no. That sounds annoying. I have only had a vision of something that happened later on once. And it was pretty funny because I was still a teenager and I dreamt about my then boyfriend breaking up with me. And I remember it vividly. I told all of my friends about it, and everyone laughed at me because everyone was like, you just dreamt it. Nothing will happen." And then 3 days later, it happened exactly the same thing, the same way. And I was like, "Told you." But that actually never happened again. And I don't know if I should be happy or sad about that. Are you considering writing a book? I actually tried writing a book just for myself. Not because like anyone, like no publisher came up to me or anything. Although that did happen a few weeks ago, but in a very weird way, and I definitely did not accept that. But when I tried writing the book, that was overwhelming, because like the outline and everything and the idea and everything was totally fine. And then I got to writing and I realized how bad I am with words and how hard it is to write a book in a language that's not your first language. Um, and I realized that if I wanted to actually pull through with that, I would need so much time because it would have been a book on Norse paganism in a more like practical way, because I feel like a lot of Norse paganism books are a lot about like, here's the knowledge, I will throw it at you, but I won't tell you what to do with it. Um, so a lot of beginner Norse pagans, I feel like, are very overwhelmed, like how to actually start practicing. Like they have the knowledge, they have the info about the gods and all of the mythology and stuff, but they don't know how to actually start practicing. So I wanted to kind of write a book about that part. But of course, I would have to also include some general info. And to do that, I would have to do a lot of like research to like properly source stuff. Um, and I realized that that's just overwhelming in another language. Um, and in general, that's yeah. I realized I don't have the time to write a book, even if it's just for myself. It's just stressful. I maybe I would do it at some point, but definitely not now. I have met my Filkia too, and I'm not sure why. Maybe witches have a higher chance meeting her, or maybe because I was dead and brought back. Hmm. I mean, hmm. I mean, the thing with being dead and being brought back, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I definitely personally feel like people who were dead for a short time, I mean, you probably stepped over to the other worlds, to the other side. So maybe you still have like one foot there or something. Maybe you just now have like a better connection. And that's funny because I didn't die, but I nearly drowned once. So I had kind of like a near death experience. That's interesting. OMG, can we talk about how annoying it is in fictional books when one has seen the character in one way and then halfway through you find out they look differently? I hate that if you read a book and then they make like a TV show or a film from that book and then they look very different than you thought. Mm. Because that actually happened with the Witcher series. I read all of the books, and we recently saw the, is it season 3? I think it's season 3. And there's the character Milva, and I just thought she looked so different than I imagined her. And I at like the first 2 episodes or so, until they actually mentioned her name, I didn't even realize that that's supposed to be her, and I was like, "What? She looks so different than I would have imagined." Oh, please do write a book. I would love to be represented, and I am sure others would love it too. Yeah, but no. If I would do that, I would burn out faster than a match. I don't know. I mean, I have a full-time job, I have a YouTube channel, and I have an online shop, and I'm running all of these things at the same time. I have currently 1 day off a week, and other than that, I'm working 8 hours a day. Um, and I'm constantly like, I really, really have to try to balance everything because if I don't, I burn out. So it's already too much work. And I can't add writing a book on top of that. True, eliminating disrespectful comments can prevent others from performing negative actions. Also true. If question is too personal, you don't have to answer. Have you ever suffered of depersonalization or derealization? I suffered from them, and sometimes I'm scared I'd get lost in the practice and fall into them again. No, I haven't. But I also don't really know what that is. So I don't know, but I guess no. I guess I don't have experienced that because Otherwise, I probably would know what that is. Um, hello, glad to have managed to catch you live. Hi. Do you have a favorite spell or ritual you've done? Good question. I really liked a trolldom healing spell that I performed because it worked really well. It involved a puppet and it took ages to make because I made it from hand and like stuffed it with healing herbs and had like a long charm incantation thing, chant, sorry, not charm, that I chanted over and over and over again while I sewed that puppet up. So it took ages, but it was very effective. So I should do more puppet magic. It's the one time I did, it was very effective. Um, I have one specific money spell that was always very effective that I really like. It's just a general candle spell, so nothing really special. Um, I always like a good blood charged rune or magical stave. Really like that. I have made one specific one that I charged with blood, and like I don't know if it's just me, but as soon as I charge and awaken a rune or a bind rune or a sigil or a magical stave with blood, I feel it coming alive and actually like becoming a full-on spirit. And this one that I made, I'm still working with it a lot in various different spells. Um, that one is very much alive, so I really like that, and I like the spirit that resulted from it. Mm, oh yeah, that's almost worse. I think about one specific book where I'm like, even the front of the book, the character was brunette, and then in the middle it said she was ginger. That's strange though. Why do you write a book with a ginger person in it and then present them on the cover as a brunette? That doesn't make sense. Balance is super duper important. Yes, and I'm bad at that. I actually found out that it really helps me personally to just simply go outside and take a short ass walk, even if it's just 10 minutes. But taking walks and just, I mean, being in nature, as much as you'd call it nature in a big city, but going outside really, really helps me, and also staying off my phone as much as possible. I try to keep my phone turned off until lunchtime now, every single day. And it really, really helped because then you have like such a nice, slow morning. Um, and yeah, I actually realized the past 4 or 5 weeks how unbalanced I get when I don't go outside and just walk everywhere anymore because I was very much now in the habit of like walking my 9 to 10,000 steps a day, and just I just basically walked everywhere because like my favorite cafe is like half an hour by foot, or like 25. The pole studio I go to is half an hour away by foot. My workplace is half an hour away by foot, so I can walk everywhere. And I did that and I loved it. And then I injured myself and I couldn't walk anymore because my injury was in my ass slash hip slash leg. So I couldn't walk anymore. And I realized then how much I actually need it. So I'm excited that slowly but surely the injury is healing off. It takes ages though, but that means I can slowly get into more walking again, and I'm very happy about that. What's your favorite herb to work with? Mugwort. Simple. Mugwort. Although Angelica also is slowly climbing up the ladder, and birch. I also really like working with birch bark in specific, but mugwort will probably always be my favorite. Depersonalization derealization disorder involves a persistent or recurring feeling of being detached from one's body or mental processes, like an outside observer of one's life. That sounds freaking scary. And no, I've never had that. I mean, I sometimes feel like I'm not really taking part in something where I'm just sitting there and staring at one, yeah, at one spot basically, and I kind of zone out, but that's no. That sounds like a very different thing. Puppet spells are very effective for me too. Maybe it's because it is so physical and visual. Yeah, I wonder if it's just like if you make a puppet, it takes so much time. And because I chant it over and over and over, I probably put so much energy into it, um, that it's probably just a thing of I just put so much energy into it that it has to be effective. I don't know. It was also very meditative to make that puppet. Uh, do you have oh, and by the way, in making that puppet, I included not magic, and that was also what my chant was about. Do you have any form of daily practice? Personally, I'm a bit of a minimalist and I only practice when it feels necessary. My only routine is on the full, dark, and new moons. I don't really have any routines anymore. I decided I would just go with the flow. And if that means that I am giving daily offerings for a week, then so be it. And if I don't feel like it, then I don't do it. If I feel like only giving offerings on full moons, then so be it. I decided to try to just go with the flow because I always try to push myself into routines that just didn't work for me. Um, so I don't really have one anymore. I do different things at different times, whatever feels good. I guess that's my routine. I just do whatever feels right. um, oh, another German comment. Uh, some time ago, I started working with runes and I felt into their energies during meditations. And with Lagos, I feel, huh? I felt something with Lagos, and then with Ingwas, I felt like wow, it was amazing. I also really like the energy of Ingwas because I kind of relate to it. I feel like it's such an introverted energy, and I I can very much relate to that on a personal level. When you blood a rune, it is believed that if you give them something and they'll give you something back in return, and that they come alive and become more connected to you. Yeah, that's what it felt like to me, definitely. Like the feeling alive part and being connected to you. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like to me. And I mean, it makes sense. You give them your life energy and you're feeding them in a way. And I mean, the whole give and take balance was such a big thing in Nordic culture that to me it really makes sense that if you give an offering to a bind rune, for example, or the spirit of a bind rune, that it will in turn give you something back. This balance, I don't know, that makes sense to me. I always felt great walking or running everywhere. The looks you get when you tell people that you walk to places instead of drive is priceless. Actually, in Germany, that's totally normal. We don't really drive that often, um, because we have public transport, and especially in big cities, it doesn't really make sense to drive anyway because you won't get any parking spots. So we walk a lot. Question: how do you feel about people having a more parent-child relationship with their deities? Do you think that dynamic stems from childhood transference of unresolved early attachments? Could be. Could be that some people use their deities as a parent replacement. Um, but I also don't really know what exactly you mean by a parent-child relationship with a deity. Because I mean, if you talk to your deities, you pray to them and you tell them your worries, is that a parent-child relationship? I don't believe so. And I doubt that the deity is raising them by like telling them what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. I don't know. Uh, wait, birch nuts, do you sort of get those falling feelings when meditating or just in general? I do, and that can feel really terrifying for me. A falling feeling, like a sudden steep fall or something? Like in a In a dream? I've never had that. I disassociate thanks to trauma as a child. I still do when I'm extremely stressed. That sounds awful. I'm very sorry. Have you ever tried doing magic with singing? No chant, just charged sound. I actually do that quite a lot because I'm basically singing all day. I have music running in my apartment all the friggin' time, and I sing all the friggin' time, and that's like one of my favorite things to do for cleansing. Um, yeah, because it's so easy. Like just put a little bit of your intention and energy behind it and then sing the shit away. um, I started suffering from that more than 10 years ago, and at that time I didn't know anything about practice, but now I'm scared of meditation because of it. Oh, that sucks. And there's no way to stop that. Yeah, I can really understand that that made you scared of meditation, sort of similar for me. Um, for me at least, it can be that quick falling or even the feeling of everything else just not existing anymore, maybe a bit like floating. I get the floating feeling because I get a floating feeling whenever I enter an altered state of consciousness, like whenever I get into the meditation and I relax into that, I get a kind of floating feeling. I completely lose the feeling in my body, so I can't feel my legs and my arms anymore. I don't know where they are. Um, yeah, it kind of feels like everything around me disappears, but I feel like that's pleasant. To me, that's a very pleasant feeling because I feel detached from all of the struggles in the world, if that makes sense. I feel just very unbothered and as if I'm, yeah, floating above everything a little bit. But I like that feeling. It's not scary for me. I always have the feeling that gods love music. Do you? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I have sang to deities and they seem to always really love it. So also Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Oof, hate when that happens. Alice in Wonder what is Alice in Wonder what? I can't type anymore. Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Oh, ooh. Apparently that includes hallucinations. That sounds friggin' scary. That's not something that I would want to experience. I've always found it hard to meditate. Is there any tips? Practice. Meditation is hard and I mean, I've done it for years and years and it's still hard. And yeah, just do it and practice it and maybe find ways that help you relax. Um, so for me, for example, I light the same type of incense every time I meditate. That really helps me because at some point you will connect that smell to the feeling of being relaxed and in a meditation. You can do the same thing with specific sounds, like specific music or binaural beats can help you relax. Even white noise helps for some people. Um, yeah, but in general, it's just a thing of practicing, practicing, practicing. When I started out, I could not meditate for longer than like 3 minutes or something. And then I would get completely distracted and then I would stop. So I would just start at like 3 minutes and then meditate longer and longer and longer the longer I went. And yeah, but you don't even necessarily have to meditate for like 30 minutes. I think it's insane when people can do that. I doubt that I would be able to do that. I can do spirit flight for that long, but not meditation anymore. I was able to do that, but I went out of practice. I don't meditate daily anymore, so that's maybe that's my fault. Uh, I know people who see, for example, Anubis as a father figure, but don't get too worked up about it. But I also know people who ask their entities everything they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. Yeah, that sounds a little bit like pushing your own responsibility onto a deity, which a deity should not be, yeah, they shouldn't be responsible for your entire life. Uh, Loving your life, sister. What are your feelings on working with water spirit for intentional energy work? Some of my greatest, most beautiful experiences have been neck deep in lakes. I've never tried that actually because, yeah, I don't live by the sea or anywhere anymore, and um, I'm not that much of a fan of uh, taking a bath or swimming in like lakes and seas. I don't really like that. I'm an ocean kind of person, ocean or sea kind of person, and I don't live by the sea anymore, sadly. Um, so I have actually never tried that, but I would love to try it because it sounds amazing. I don't really get hallucinations. It's more like feeling like I'm smaller or bigger than I am in relationship to the room. That also sounds scary. Ooh. Has anybody worked with vor? I have not. Or my tongue feels like it's growing. Yeah, kind of gross. Your tongue feels like it's growing. Yeah, that sounds gross. Become the observer to meditate at first. Just observe without attachment. Sounds per se. Yeah, I mean, that is meditation, basically. Just detaching yourself and observing the sounds, observing the thoughts in your head. It's really cool once you realize that, and that is something that you will realize very fast. The thoughts that I'm thinking aren't actually thoughts that I'm actively thinking, they're just thoughts that randomly pop up. So I'm basically an observer of my own thoughts. That's a strange feeling at first, but it gets very, very nice actually because you realize, oh, these thoughts actually don't stem from, they do stem from me, but I'm not actively thinking them. So that way, scary thoughts are less scary because you realize, oh, they're just insecurities popping up or whatever. What's your favorite way to communicate with deities? Um, Actually, spirit flight, meditation, simply talking to them, intuitively connecting. I'm realizing more and more that using divination tools, it does work, but I don't know, it kind of feels like there's, yeah, I don't want to say it feels like a crutch, but it feels like there's this layer between the deity and me that's just not necessary. But I actually realized that through the thralldom course that I'm taking because, like, uh, Johannes Bjorn Goldbeck's approach to communicating is so pragmatic, and I love it so much. And I realized that, like, if I can just talk to them, why should I use tarot cards? You just have to figure out how to directly communicate. That's the issue, and how to trust yourself and your senses. Do you struggle with social anxiety? I'm extremely introverted, so I definitely do. I actually have a diagnosed social anxiety, so yes, fun times. But it's getting better. It sucks, but confrontation therapy definitely does help. I was shitting my pants before I, for example, went to my first pole class, but it helped a lot. What are your thoughts on things like bacteria or viruses from a spiritual perspective? Both being helpful and harmful, like gut bacteria or influenza. It's not a topic I've ever heard anything about. I've never thought about that actually. But yeah, I mean, I guess they're not bad or good, they're just neutral. But some, I mean, some animals or some species, that's the word, some species just react differently to them. That doesn't make them bad. Because, for example, I don't know, cats have a lot of bacteria in their mouths that are very harmful for humans, but they're not harmful for the cat. But just because the bacteria is harmful for a human doesn't make it bad. I mean, some people don't like me. Does that make me bad? No, I guess. But I've never really thought about it. So I guess that's my quick input that I can give you. Um, Meditation on my own has always been difficult for me, but guided meditations have always been very, very beneficial. Yeah, definitely. Guided meditations can help a lot. Helps develop clairaudience as well. Thoughts that are not your own or etheric information. I don't know what that relates to. What helps develop clairaudience? The communication, I guess. uh, have to run now, but thank you for all you do. Blessings to you all of health, wellness, abundance. Bye bye. Have a great day or evening, wherever you are. What's the best way to learn spirit flight? It is the same as out of body experience. For some people, it can be. Um, I guess it's a little bit different for some people. Um, I guess the first thing I would say is learn how to get into a deep trance. So, first thing, learning how to meditate so that you can actually get into altered states of consciousness. Second thing, learning how to get into an actual trance because the state that you are in a meditation usually is a little bit lighter than an actual trance that you need for spirit flight. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to sit still and and not think or something. For me, for example, what helps me is moving. Movement can be very trance-inducing. There are a lot of things that can be trance-inducing. Um, Sounds can be trance-inducing, smells, movement. Um, you could maybe make sounds that could help. Kind of try different things and kind of figure out what helps you get into a trance. And then when you have realized how you can get into the trance, then you can go on spirit flight because that's like the thing that you have to master beforehand. Because if you can't relax into it and get into a trance, then you won't be very successful with spirit flight because you will fall out of it all the time. Um, and then you need an entry point, and like the way to enter the spirit flight is very different for different people. Um, Most of the times, like most people, use either like a physical entrance point. So, for example, an archway somewhere or um, a hole under the roots of a tree or something like that. Um, and then they go there. Some people also only visualize that entrance. That's what I usually do because I wouldn't want to go on spirit flight outside. So I usually just visualize the entry point, and then you then comes the tricky part. Um, Going into the trance there, or going into the trance and visualizing that entry point, and then going through that entry point and letting it happen. The letting it happen, I feel like, is the most tricky thing. Like letting it happen, just let loose and then see what happens. I feel like that's the most difficult part for most people. Mm, would you describe your experiences with Inner Temple of Witchcraft book exercises? That has been a long time ago. I don't remember the exercises very well, actually. But I remember most of them being very effective. I don't know. I remember only quite a few of those. Are there any topics you would like to discuss in upcoming videos? Yeah, definitely the topics that I wrote scripts about today, which the most important one was definitely the fucked up history of the terms shaman and shamanism and like the whole neo shamanism and core shamanism discussion, because I feel like that's a very important topic. Um, really want to make a video on the Filkja, but that will be a lot of research. I would really love to make a video on the Norse afterlife, for example. or other, like in general, just Norse mythology related topics, but they're also all very, very research heavy. And sometimes I just don't have the time for that, which is quite sad. Um, that's what's coming to mind right now, but I have a long list of topics. Uh, Speaking of tarot, what tarot is your favorite, if any? I only use one regularly, and that is the Golden Art Nouveau tarot, and that's gorgeous. I love it. I think it's interesting how much our past traumas and individual backgrounds shapes our experiences with spirituality and the ways we perceive a deity to be. That's possible, but also I feel like, I mean, I have I have the resources to say that. Um, so much of my UPG that I thought is UPG, I realize through the videos that I make and the comments that are coming up under that videos, um, I realize that a lot of my UPG is actually SPG. And it's interesting because a lot of those UPGs um, are things that I didn't think other people would agree with. So I thought they would be things that were shaped by my background or my life or my experiences. But a lot of other people seem to see them the same way. So I don't know. Are there any Norse deities associated with insects? I think Freya is sometimes associated with bees. I know some people connect Loki with spiders. I don't know why. Also, spiders aren't insects, I think. Um, I don't know about any other insect-related Norse deities. Loki turned into a fly, though, once. But apart from that, I don't know. What's your favorite tattoo of yours? Either my head or my chest piece, I guess. But they're also the ones I see most often, and also my hands. I love, especially that one. I love them. Oh, guys, I will head out soon because it has been 2 hours and I'm slowly losing my voice. um, is spirit flight the same way as shamanic journeying? You could say that, yeah. You're entering one of the other worlds or the other world, however you however you see it, however your personal cosmology works. So yeah, it's basically the same thing. I mean, different cultural contexts and stuff, of course, but the concept is the same thing. You are with your spirit entering a different world and traveling there and having experiences, meeting spirits, talking to them, etc. On the subject of entering meditation, heard of a Formula One driver who taught himself to push the steering wheel a certain way to get him focused. Maybe a similar thing could be done to meditate quicker. Definitely, it's actually a thing. Oh, that's actually a thing from the Inner Temple Witchcraft book. Funny, the magic trigger. You can program yourself to connect a physical movement, for example, pressing your thumbs or crossing your fingers or I don't know, holding two fingers together, you can program your body to connect this physical movement with an altered state of consciousness. And that really helps to quickly get into that state. So once you have um, a meditation practice that works and you feel like you have realized, okay, I have actually hit an altered state of consciousness now. If you do the same movement whenever you are in that state, your brain will start to connect the movement with that altered state of consciousness, and that will enable you to use that movement to get into that state of consciousness. That really works. I have used it a lot, actually. There's trance induction techniques used in hypnosis you could apply to meditation practice. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. A canning for a dragonfly is Freya's hen. It is? That's so cute. Would you do a tattoo tour on your channel? I've actually been requested that quite a lot, but I've my channel is about Norse paganism and witchcraft, and my tattoos don't have anything to do with that, even though some of my tattoos have something to do with my practice. But I feel like that's, I don't know, a little bit misplaced on my channel because it has nothing to do with the two topics that I usually talk about. Although I have been sometimes thinking about actually making some videos sometimes that don't have anything to do with those two topics, but yeah, I don't know. I wonder whether people would be annoyed by that because people come to my channel for Norse paganism and witchcraft. So if I would upload videos that don't have anything to do with that, I guess people would be a little bit annoyed. I mean, that's what happens with Olivia's channel, The Witch of Wanderlust. People constantly comment under her videos saying like, "Where are your witchcraft videos? We want to see your witchcraft videos." Even though her channel never was 100% witchcraft related, and mine is. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I could do that as like additional content at some point or something, as like a third video in a week. Oh gods. Yeah, and I did it. I caught up with the chat. I can't believe it. After over 2 weeks, I caught up with the chat. Yay! So I guess that is also the point where I will say goodnight because it's now 10 p.m. and I've had a long day of writing scripts and now I'm very tired. So I guess I will just head out now and I guess watch Golden Girls and do some embroidery. um, so yeah, thank you all so, so much for joining me for this tea time. It was very, very enjoyable as always, or as last time. I've only done that once before, but it's always very, very cool to do these. I was very nervous before I did the first one, so I'm always pleasantly surprised at how lovely the chats are. So thank you so, so much. I will keep this up for whoever wants to watch it again. And yeah, I will do another live in September. I'm trying to do them monthly now. So I guess I will see you in the next live. Bye, everyone. Have a good day or a good evening wherever you are.